Gaffer, thanks for speaking to us on Matchday -1. How good did the lads feel after last week's win?
Yeah, listen, it was great for them, weren't it? I think obviously going through disappointment of losing a few games is not what we want to be doing. But regardless of everything else, the fighting spirit and the determination of the boys to help the mate out at half time to go and get a result was phenomenal. I was really pleased. Every single one of them, the lads who come on the pitch as well. And the lads who weren't even in the squad, you know, right after the game, they're all down there. So yeah, it was good. It was much needed for the group. They've always been a positive group and bubbly group and confidence and the morale. But when you get a win like that, it's always better, and it makes it even more better when you've only got 10 men.
I guess it is a lot sweeter when that kind of happens, when you see the grit, determination of the lads to put their bodies on the line and get the 3 points.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. When you look at it back, I watched some of it back and I thought, what am I doing? Because it doesn't matter now, because the second half we were down to 10 men. The first half I thought was some good performances. We were doing well without really affecting the goal, but I don't think Sam had much to do. There was a lot of balls coming in the box, and then when you look at the goal and you think, okay, that's more than enough. And the lads did hang on in there as well, deliveries coming into the box from different areas, long throws and whatnot. So fair play to them. When you've got determination and desire like that, that takes you a long way, and that's what they've given us, and that's what we've seen. And if we can do that with 11 men as well, being good with the ball, then it bodes well for winning more games of football.
In the build-up to last week's game, you mentioned how you changed up the training week. Have we followed a similar script this week?
Yeah, of course, yeah. No, sometimes it just changes up and freshens some ideas up, and we go into the build-up of... We always respect the opposition who we're coming up against. We always give the lads the work, what we need to give them. We always show them the stuff on them. But we focus mostly on ourselves in terms of 60-40, if you like, 40% them, 60% us. Because if we're good on the day with the ball and we're good at creating chances and we put the ball in the back of the net, then it's fine. You know, our underlying numbers, as I've just been shown you, are very good with the ball and without the ball. XGs are great. XGs against the great. So we've got to continue that form. We've got to do well with that. We've got to use that. But as I say, look, the lads have been brilliant to work with from day one, as I've said all the time. And yet we're building. We're trying to get to winning more games of football on the bounce. Back-to-back wins would be great, of course. We know that. That helps you bump up the table. But no, they've been brilliant, so long may that continue.
As head coach, are you quite data-driven now? Do you think it's a really useful tool?
Well, it's a useful tool, yeah, and it's good to have, it's good to see. You know, the underlying numbers are all good, as I've just said to you, but I sometimes just want to win, no matter what, because the underlying numbers will bode well for you, and eventually it tells you you've got to keep them underlying numbers up. So we're in a good position in the underlying numbers with all the data and stuff, and it's always nice to see that, because it sees that you're doing well. Listen, there's some stuff in there that we need to improve on, of course, I understand that, and that's something that we'll work on when we get some clear weeks. But no, it's always good to see the data. It's always good to see that you're performing well. The results haven't shown that, but the performances sort of have a little bit, which contradicts yourself a little bit, doesn't it? But as long as I see progression in a day-to-day basis and in games, that's good enough for me, yeah.
Momentum is an absolutely massive thing in football. After the game, you spoke about potentially backing up with last Saturday's win. How important is that we go to Mansfield and put a really good account of ourselves?
Well, we'll definitely have to go and give a good account of ourselves, 100%. Nige gets his team set up very good. He's had plenty of success, knows what the division looks like. So we're aware of that. But I'm sure they'll be aware of us as well, coming off the back of a win like we did. As I said, the design, the commitment and everything else with the lads. And in some of the games we've performed okay. We haven't been poor. We've done okay, as I said, the underlying numbers. But going to a place like Mansfield, you've got to make sure you're on it. And we've prepared right for it. We've given all the lads the tools. We'll finish off today with a later start today, so we can travel across. It's an early kick-off, we know. So yeah, it's one that if you go there and perform to the levels we can, hopefully back it up with a back-to-back wins, it'd be pleasing, yeah.
What threats do Mansfield pose? Is there any specific areas of their game which you prepare for?
Yeah, well, listen, their numbers are good as well. Like, you know, teams who are around the top half, they're just inside the top half, they'll want to push on and try and get into the playoffs. As I said, they're well coached, well managed, well structured of what they do. But yeah, as I say, we respect most every team that we come up against, but there's obviously, we've got to have no fear factor in that. We know what we're going to try and do. We can't give too much away in terms of, you know, without the ball. We've got to make sure we're solid and resolute when we haven't got it. When we've got it, we feel we can hurt in certain areas. But Nigel will be saying the same thing about his team. And yeah, hopefully we can perform to the levels and come out with a positive result.
Following an unsuccessful appeal, we'll be without Darragh Costello for the next 3 games. Is it now an opportunity for the other lads to stake their claim for a shirt?
Yeah, well, I think in terms of stating the place for the shirt, they've all done that to different levels. You know, obviously Malise coming on the pitch at half time and performing to the levels. He's been a little bit knocked back with a back injury over the last few days, so we'll see how he is today for tomorrow. You know, Mulls has done well when he's played to different standards as such. You know, obviously when chances are coming late on, you think if Mulls is on the pitch, he can score them goals. Dara has scored, but has had a couple of opportunities too. Christine's the same. But look, I want that from all our lads. You know, however way they come on the pitch and perform to the levels, we want them to perform to the levels that we expect, and they've done that to an extent. Most of the attacking lads. Do we want more goals? Yeah. It will be missed out of the weekend, of course, because of his enthusiasm and his work rate and whatnot. And we felt he was, you know, he had a couple of good chances, didn't he, the other week against Wigan. And he had a good chance to keep him, made the save, it was a deflection. And we felt he'd score against Port Vale. It weren't to be, but as I say, there's always opportunities on a daily basis, not just when someone gets a red card. I say to all the players, you've got an opportunity every day to show me how good you are and what you can do. And I must say they do that. And we've had a bit of a real selection headache for the weekend, but that's what we want.
In terms of the squad, how are we looking? I know you mentioned Malise with a bad back injury.
Well, Malise, I think someone said he collapsed to the ground after the game on Saturday. He had a bit of a back injury, so he hasn't trained more or less. Well, he hasn't trained all week. We'll see how he is today, and then go from there. But good news, James Carragher's back in the fold. He'll have with the squad. He's had a good week of training. Probably not ready for 60, 70, 80 minutes, but I'm sure he could play maybe a part if needed late on in the game. So that's good news. And then, you know, Baba's obviously, and his missus, congratulations to them too, just had a new baby. So he's had a few days off. Tyrese Francois is not far behind. So yeah, the quicker we get all these players back up and running, Sessignon trained a day this week, so we'll see how he is. But once we get all them players back in the building, and well, I say back in the building, back training, then bodes well for having a good, fully fit squad.
Finally, you praised our supporters in your post-match interview on Saturday. They'll be there in the numbers again tomorrow. How good will it be to send them home happy once again?
Oh, 100%, yeah. That doesn't go unnoticed, and we use that in the team talk as a motivation, if you like, you know, to come and spend all their hard-earned money, leave an early Saturday morning to get across to Mansfield, and hopefully we can go and do them proud again.